some code of Unity. So let's take a look at what I'm going to do today, because I have little to no idea. I'll just have also a quick look at making sure the stream is actually working. How do we even get to this stream here? I don't know. Maybe if I click there and this button here. Does that get us the stream? Okay, hello. Yes, that seems to work. All right, that looks like it's working. And this looks like it's working here. And I heard some sound even, so we're good. All right, well, let me click over to here for a minute, even though there's a risk that I'll forget to switch back to code view. And let's take a look at what is going on today. For some reason, there we go. Now, for some reason, my sizing library is not working, but that doesn't matter. I'll just press on. So this is what I meant to get done last time. And as you can see, one item out of this many checked, although I think I added these. Did I fix that one? I don't know. Looks like I added some bugs that I discovered and didn't ever get to this one. So let's see if we can push through those bugs today. Last time I got camera drag, well, panning the camera when you get near the edge, when you drag a photo near the edge working, which I'm sure you'll see soon enough when I test some code. What's going on with this? I was quite sure I had fixed that, but not this one. Maybe I didn't. Okay, well, let's get this positioned a bit better and switch over to the development view and make a start on that. Because I think fixing a few bugs and doing this, getting some settings into scriptable objects. I feel like my voice just stopped working for a moment there. Maybe it's too early. Maybe I need more tea. That could be it. Okay. So. There we go. I'll just check my notes here too. Yeah, for some reason, the Restream chat just never loads. So we've got chatty over here. I should still get all of the messages, and I'll keep the YouTube chat open over here somewhere. Just organizing some things over here that you can't see mysteriously, or possibly boringly. So let's not do that for too long. Alrighty, so this one here, crashing on a missing line renderer for the final generation. So let me just run this. I should put up a donation goal so I can buy a new computer, and that'll load faster. That wasn't too bad. Now that's sounding really loud in my ears, but it's looking very quiet over there. That's too loud over there. And that's too quiet. Yeah, I think that's about right. Let me know in the comments if it's not, or in the chat rather. If it's in the comments, then you're probably watching a VOD, and I probably can't do anything about it. Okay, so let's just generate this. So the major change that I've made recently is this tree is generated a different way. And that's the camera panning that I got working last time. But the issue here looks like if there's a missing line renderer, missing line renderer for the final generation. Let's take a look at that. So, and that's a crash, it says. Okay, that seems to be now not happening. Just then I hit the other bug, which was grabbing something through the cameras. There, these colliders around the main camera. If I click through that and grab this, I am both dragging the photo and dragging the camera. And so that's not a very fun experience. Ugh, don't know how well that comes across. Ah, I knew that would happen. I should just stop using that chatting view. Let me get back on this here. There we go. So we've got our tree here. That's the tree that's generated. It's a family tree. And it's generated in code and then like as data. And then turned into game objects. That will make it easy to save when I implement the save system. And this is the panning at the edge, like I was just talking about. And if I just move the camera across a bit, I'm looking at the colliders on the edge of the camera here. If I then try and grab something through that collider, I'm dragging the photo and I'm dragging the camera around. So that's bad. And I'm guessing that's because I'm probably getting mouse down events in both places happening. I think there must be two things that are detecting that. Anyway, so this doesn't seem to be happening. Maybe I fixed that in the last stream. Let's just say that's to check stream, what number I'm up to here. I think that'll be stream 14. See if I fixed it. So I'll just put that onto a, just move this to somewhere here. Maybe down there. I need a new line, so let's grab that like that. Put that there. I've just moved the letter S. Very useful. Okay, I'm dragging all of it. It didn't drag that new line. Oh, maybe I didn't select the new line. Okay, enough messing around with text. Okay. So this one we definitely confirmed was happening just then. And this one here, I'll just have a quick look. 3 generations make 8 grandparents. So if I go to the game manager here and say we want 3 generations instead of 4, and regenerate, yeah, I'm getting 8 grandparents. That's interesting. Now I'm getting a missing line renderer. So that is not very surprising considering it has no connections on there. But I could make that a bit more robust so that it doesn't happen. Okay, so I think that must be that. I'll move this one back up here and try and fix that at the same time. And yes, we confirmed that was happening. All right, so why does our background drag at the same time as our person? Just clear that from there. Let's leave that size, but let's make this a bit bigger. And I might actually get us having 3 generations by default, because that will just be a good reminder. So Unity resets any changes that happen during play mode. That's the reason why I want to move settings to scriptable objects, because I can reset changes using version control. Don't need the other thing. Oh, speaking of version control, that might be another place I can see if I had a change that I made quickly before I left, and therefore didn't update my to-do list. Looks like the only change I've got is that update to the line endings that I just did when I loaded this up. Let's put that into a commit. There are no changes here, but it's a change in line endings. Fine, okay, I'll include that with whatever commit I make next. But yeah, no other changes in the working tree, and yeah, it looks like nothing there. None of the commits there that I made indicate that I'd fixed something in particular. All right, so camera drag. When do we start dragging the camera? Can I collapse all these methods? So here in update, I'm doing get mouse button down. It's casting a ray. And if it hits a person, then no, sorry. If that ray hits something that is not a person, then yeah, dragging, meaning dragging the whole screen. And lift the mouse up, it stops doing that. And if we're doing a pinch zoom gesture, it also stops dragging, because otherwise weird stuff happens. Okay, so something must be going wrong there. Okay, so this must be hitting that collider. That makes sense. Gotta fix that. Fix me hitting camera collider. I think we might be able to fix that just by adjusting this raycast. See, we've got 7 overloads on raycast hit there. And just grab a browser here and Unity physics2d.raycast. I'm sure one of those has something about tags. So we've got our origin and direction. So it's coming from the camera, or from the point of the camera where the mouse cursor is, moving straight away from the camera. We're going to infinity. That layer mask is probably what I want. Max depth. I mean, I could also use depth and just move those colliders way back. Because although this is 2D, we also have the z-index, which determines things like rendering order to some extent. I'm going to move this across a little bit so that you don't get the cup hitting that. this noise? I'm not sure what that sounds like on stream. I should probably check sometime. Okay, layer mask. So I need to filter to detect colliders only on certain layers. So that's what I'm going to need. And I think I'll just open layer mask in a new tab here. I've just had a look here and confirmed that we're on an okay version. It should make a difference. This hasn't changed in quite some time. But just switching to the version of Unity that I'm on is a good idea. Good. How do we create a layer mask? Let's jump straight to this example here. And here we go. Get mask, blah. So we can make a mask that will just hit a particular layer. Let's take a look at the people, the prefab person, because this is all that click and drag should be able to hit. The layer is default. Maybe I'll just add a layer. Do I want to use this one? There is an ignore raycast. That's interesting. There, I've got a layer called draggable. So basically what I'd probably do this. And do that with, instead of wall draggable. So therefore we're only going for draggable things. And that even should look for the iDraggable interface. The reason being I added that interface. There we go, that interface there. Which doesn't need using Unity Engine on it. Because it doesn't. It's very simple. Just a little interface that just allows this property to be exposed with this dragging so that you can tell if something's being dragged. And then person implements that interface. There, iDraggable implemented. So, I'm going to mute head cough. Sometimes waking up super early is not great fun. There you go, you got one. I cruelly denied you the previous cough. That probably works. Let's just get that running. Yeah, so person is an iDraggable, and that makes it generic if I ever get another draggable thing going, and it means this camera dragging code doesn't have to be linked specifically to person. Okay, so alright, that seems to be not working. Not working in that it is still detecting those. I might get some console logging going too. So the way that I'll do that is, that's fine. Some kind of code was trying to run after I closed it. So there. I'm just going to get rid of some of this logging that's just happening here because that's at this point just distracting. This was useful back when I was working on it, but now it's really just position. Yeah, now it's just distracting from viewing the logging that I actually care about. So good to keep that to a minimum as much as possible. There are more sophisticated things I could do to switch the logging on and off. On the file I'm working on, for example. And I am not going to implement those because there's too much risk that it will take up all my time doing that instead of making this game work. All right, so what I want is... Okay, I've got dragging happening in person, and I possibly might move more into draggable as well. Anyway, here. So we've got mouse down, so that's let's see, we've got a single hit. Just wondering here, what do I want to do exactly? Hit, we've got a rigid body, a centroid transform, point, a collider. We've got normals, rigid bodies. A transform. All right. Let's just get that raycast hit, at least the name of what was hit. Does this always return the whole thing? I don't know. If it hits nothing, do you get that? It's not saying whether they're nullable or not. Maybe we'll just go with conditional chaining. No, don't want to do conditional chaining. Am I using TypeScript syntax? Okay, that's a struct, so it's just always going to have something in there. I think, unless I'm talking nonsense. So we've hit an iDraggable. I feel like I'm taking forever to do this. Let's just have a quick look at the drag and drop here. I should really just open my Solution Explorer and use this to jump straight to where I want to go. So mouse down. So this is detecting a mouse down on that person. I think regardless if it hits anything else. I should also just confirm 100%. That's layer default. And I just thought of something too. This would have been good to look at before I did anything with logging anything. So there's my person. They've got their collider on them. Hopefully that's not going to affect the sprite rendering. Maybe I should have actually used that new layer I created. I don't know. Does that make sense? Probably. Okay. That stopped immediately, so interesting. Yeah. Null reference here. That's the one there. Does that cut off the whole chain, or do you have to use it all the way along? I don't know, let's run it like that. Let's see. This is the downside of using different languages in day job versus game dev. Spending a fair amount of time on both. It's easy to get muddled, especially when attempts have been made to make TypeScript work similarly to C# as far as I can tell. Right. Okay, good. That's not breaking anymore. And we apparently did hit an iDraggable according to something. How are we hitting iDraggable? Oh, because hit an iDraggable doesn't mean hit an iDraggable, it means didn't hit an iDraggable. Did not hit an iDraggable. Okay, so just read that as the opposite. Right, let me clear that. Yeah, so I should be only getting one or the other. Just confirm that is definitely within that collider. So yeah, this person's hair is fully within the collider, so I grab that and I'm just moving the person. So that appears to be fixed. Does other stuff still work? You know, this only has generated not 8. That was going to be the next thing I fixed. You look like that's your parent and that's your parent. And... but how does that work? Well, that can't work. And that can't work. All right, yeah, your hair is shorter. Halfway between medium and bald. Anyway, sorry, I was just playing my game that I made. That's probably a good sign if I accidentally play the game. because I tend to accidentally do things that are fun. So, well, fun to me. Hopefully that means it's fun to someone else as well. Yeah, so did not need... Well, I don't think that comment's adding much now because this code is a bit descriptive. Don't need that logging. Don't need that. And yeah, so now we've got a layer that we can put anything on that's going to be draggable, and that will fix that. We don't need to detect person specifically. Just deleting things that we're not using anymore as well. All right, well, so what did I change in person here? I could just go to Git console and roll back those changes. Wow. This stuff is for that stuff only works in editor. Anyway, where was I? We got start dragging here. What? I should just be looking at where my changes are. There, and did I even make a change? I feel like I had a thing that logged mouse down. Maybe I just deleted it a few seconds ago and had a total failure of working memory. It's possible. All right. Moving right along, let's have a look here because I can just check in that fix and that will tell me, okay, yes, we've got changing layers. Should just make sure everything's saved up here. And all saved there. Okay, so we've got update that layer to the draggable layer. What are all of these things that are being updated? I thought there was just the one prefab. Game object. Oh, right, this is all of the different parts of person prefab because I'm in that main game scene. Just change those generations to 3, that's fine. Camera drag. That had that change. And that's the actual fix there. That's just changing the type that's being looked for. That looks good. iDraggable, just removed some white space and unneeded things. Family tree manager, oh yeah, that's just cleaning up some logging. So I'm going to just put that in a separate commit. Same with that. And that's the new layer. So yeah, fix just trying to come up with something really short that means exactly what this is, because it's preventing dragging the camera when dragging a person through the collider. There we go. A little bit longer than I'd like, but it's that's fine. It's still going to work for me finding that if I need to. I'll just say remove access logging. Okay, so that's all those changes, and I've left that over the top of that. Don't know what that was for. Let me minimize that, and that is fixed. There we go. And this this one here. Now something weird happened there, because I'm sure that that happened. We just saw that happen earlier. Here. This one's probably related to that one, where we've got too many grandparents being generated, so some of them don't have their connections. So this is working fine right here. And this is with our game manager having 3 generations. But it started with 4 last time. And I had them generated. Then I switched it to 3 and generated. That's the issue. So it's not just that. Just that little snippet of info. It's going to be game manager. Oh, 3. Okay. Let's see if I do 5. Okay, nice big tree that doesn't even fit. I need to fix that at some point if I want trees that big. Now let's switch it down to 4. Yeah, now it still has that many. What if I put it on 3? Yeah. It's still keeping the same number of slots. Okay, let's just one more little investigation here. I'm going to see, so that would have defaulted back to 3 there when I put it out of play mode. So let's just switch it to 4, regenerate, then to 3. That wasn't quite what I wanted to do, actually. Let's set it to 4 here, so it starts at 4. Oops, we run it, but without generating anything. I'll set it to 3, and then generate. And that's fine. Okay, so it seems like it has to be within the same run of the game. So regenerate, this is a button that just runs the same thing that the level complete dialog runs, and that is exactly the same thing that the start button on the main menu runs, which is here, just game manager dot victory button UI click. I think I called that. Bit of a mouthful, but it has served me so far. So game manager, victory button, click OK. So this is what's happening. It's basically just doing that and hiding that victory dialog. An extra line here for no reason. Any decrease. Oh, I'm going to update this. I think before the next stream, I want to update it so that this task up here is automatically updated. It's probably also worth finishing my sentence. Something like that. I think I said a few different things. First thing, I've got 3 things, I think. First thing, before next stream, I would like to update that. Oh, you can't see my finger. That thing up there, that thing, which shows what I'm working on, because it's not integrated with this, and that just is bad. So I might write an OBS plugin for that on the weekend, if I have some time. Time is rare these days, which is why I wake up so early. That's the first thing. Oh, nearly going to get impolite there. Second thing is, it's worth noting this bug isn't happening during the actual running game, so I could just triage that to not fix, but I am sure that I'm going to be changing the number of generations as soon as I get the level progression system working, which is coming up soon, so better if I fix this now. And was there a third thing? Who knows? I just had that there in case I remembered something else that I might have forgotten. Anyway, let's jump straight into this. Reset level. We're clearing goal people. We're clearing all connections, slots and people. And then we're generating a people tree. And I'm pretty sure it's got to be in here where it's happening. So let's jump straight into that with F12. I think it might be useful just down here to put a little, down there, something that says what keys I'm hitting. I feel like that could be informative. It would also encourage me to make sure I learn the key shortcuts better. Switching between IDEs a bit, make it a bit of a pain. Now, oldest generation count. This is something that's happening that could be wrong. So basically, I'm just using the number of generations to get the count of oldest generation, and then I'm making this next gen have that many people. So something there could be using the old value, and that's using oldest generation count to fill that. And then it's going through each of those generations. So it could be happening here where the tree is being generated, or it could be happening in the display. So I'll just put a little debug here. Or can I maybe put a breakpoint here and just step through that? Let's try that. I haven't been doing that much with Unity. Haven't used it for a while. If we go, I want to put a breakpoint. Breakpoint. Set breakpoint right there. Yeah, that's not going to be happening too much. And I could do something to attach debugger. I've just clicked attach to Unity. Let's see what we have there. You are trying to attach a debugger, but debugging mode is switched off in your project. When Unity is in debug mode, C# performance is reduced, but you can attach a debugger. Switching to debug mode also recompiles and reloads all scripts. You can enable debug mode temporarily for this editor session. Switch it on for all projects until further notice, or cancel attaching the debugger. If you switch it on for all projects, you can change it later. In the code optimization on startup setting. Let's go with this session because things are already slow enough. And do I need to run it a separate way, or is it just going to be debugging already? Let's just have a look. Is it just running already? I thought it said it was going to recompile things. Maybe it's just taking a long time. Ah, there it is. My tea has run out, so I might need to go and make another cup. On the other hand, I'll get a little more done here if I stay here for now. Maybe I won't. Depends how long that's going to take. What I really need is just a teapot or a kettle and some supplies here on a little side table. A whole kettle of hot water is probably not a good thing to spill in your keyboard. This is, I guess, recompiling everything. So I have my code split up into different assemblies so that if I have a look in my Solution Explorer here, see we've got different assemblies here. I've got an editor assembly with, well, that's the default one. There's the default assembly that Unity makes. Here's the assembly with the main code for this game, which is all sort of in a single assembly right now, but I've got my splash screens and my tools in different assemblies. This might be getting to a size where new assemblies would be worth making. All right, it seems like we're actually running now. So that's good. Let's hit this button and see what happens. Before I do that, let's open that game manager. Check that's on 4 generations. Yes, I'll hit regenerate. Okay, we've hit the breakpoint. And be right here. And really, I just want to continue at this point. It's been a long time since I've been debugging in Visual Studio. Yes, continue is what I want. Okay, so we're no longer stopped at that breakpoint. Let's make that bug happen, like so. And we'll hit this button. All right, now we're getting interesting. Just scroll that to where we can see it. So at this point, we've got this next gen 0 should be the base of the tree. And this is in Family Tree Manager. And we want generations out of Game Manager. So this is that class. And that is coming from there, is it? Oh, no, we've got Goal People. We've got generations being passed in here from Generate People tree. So there's this. There's our call stack and Generate People tree. Okay. Just looking for where the locals are. Here we go. So generations 3. That seems correct. Generation num ended up at 3, which stops this from running. Goal People count as 1, so that means we've only got one person with a tree above them. That will probably stay at 1 for now, unless I go and make these trees more complex, like having multiple children of a pair of parents. So that looks fine, and we've got this next gen, and that has this node here. So now what we should have is this next generation. Yeah. This is the base of a tree, and each thing in that tree has 2 above, and we don't even use the next gen array. Really, we only just use this first item in that array, which is the only item in that array, as we can see here. Okay, so let's step into display people tree, because I'm pretty sure it's happening in there. I think we're maybe keeping the length of this array for some reason. So we're going to step into that. So here's display people tree, and what could be happening here? We've got our goal people data. I think it's going to be in positions, lots of connections. So let's step into that. So we've got F11, F10, F11, step into. Start getting in the habit of using those. And what is next? Alt, what? X width. Now we got oldest generation slots.count. That looks like a problem. Because where does this oldest generation slots come from? Is that being set? It's being cleared there. That could be our issue. Could be the oldest generation slots has been cached. Well, at least, yeah. Something weird happening there, maybe? Oh, what am I doing? I mean, I'm debugging here, so I should have next gen slots is null right now, but that oldest generation slots here, that is at 4. So that bit's fine. It's not that. Just going to pause that. I can't because I'm debugging. I think I've gone too far because that's positioning the slots. That's 4. At this point, it's already made the slots, hasn't it? Is it? No, here. So just remember the right things here. 10. Okay. So we're computing the start position. That's basically on the left where it should position the first one. So that's the right number, 4. And then it's doing that loop 4 times. So it's got a slot 1, 2, 3, and 4 times through, and then it should terminate. Yep. Okay, so now we've got our next gen slots is equal to null, but then it will be a new hash set. And that is a local next gen slots count equals 0. So it's just moving these oldest generation slots into there. So it should do 2, 3, 4. Okay, so now we have 4 in there. Now, as long as there are any slots, okay, so this is iterating through the generations. For each of those slots, sets up the connection, the output connection. And then we've got connections, 2 of those. Connection, parent 1, transform position. So what are we actually doing here? We're doing the parent generation and then the connections. Getting the parent positions in order to figure out where to position the child. And positioning or position the connection itself. So we're going through both of those connections. That should be the last one. Now we clear this next gen slots. There, so it becomes count equals 0, and then we should add both of those connections. We've got 2, add those. And okay, so now we've got these 2 connections and those slots. So this is basically, well, we're only doing 3 generations like that. So this has made those 2 connections and these 2 slots. And we're ready for another iteration. Here, so that will be, we've got next gen slots count of 2, so that's greater than 0. So we go through each of those 2 slots, make sure its output connection is set. And then we go to the connection. There should just be 1 connection here. Yep. And get that positioned properly. So then that's it. We clear those slots. Now we've got 1 connection. So we get that child slot added. So next gen slots now has 1 color coded. It still took me that long to find. And I'm finished with that. So now we'll do another loop. And we'll go through those slots, set the output connection on that. That's already set. Apparently. Then connections, there are none. Oh, sorry, finishes that. Connections, there are none, so it should jump over to clearing that. No connections, so we'll jump straight over that and we'll be finished. Okay. Oh yeah, so these slots live inside, like the last generation of slots are parented to the connections instead of a connection that they are the child in, because there's no connection above, and that's just to make it easier when I'm looking in the tree here to figure out what goes with what. So this just makes sure that they're positioned properly, because if I position them and then move their connection that they are, that is their parent, that will move them with the connection. So that's what's happening there. It's just getting everything back in position. So that should happen 4 times. Oldest generation slots. Yep, it's got a count of 4, so that should be the last one. Now we're out of there. That should be done. And that should be the end of reset level. And did that do anything to help? So now we've still got these slots here that just haven't been positioned. Wait a minute, are these... Oh, okay. So that's something I could have noticed without all that debugging. It was good to have a little bit of practice at debugging. I think I probably tend to go a little bit too heavy on the just logging for debugging and not reaching for the debugger soon enough. In this case, I probably should have waited a little sooner before. But what I can see here is that I've got all these slots, a full set of slots from the previously generated tree. So something's not being cleaned up. And I think if I were to comment that out and just run without that, we'd probably see that we still have those slots. So they're being missed in here. And we were paused in the debugger, so we didn't see that rendering. Oh, wait. That's not going to generate it the first time, is it? Let's just make something that we can affect here. It's just temporary. And we'll only do that if we've said generate tree, and that means that we can switch it off before the second time. Now, where did I put that debug statement? Oh, that doesn't matter too much. I could just continue from it. And I was going to put a note here. This is could be from the previous level. I wonder if those are piling up then every single level. Okay, we're paused in the debugger because we're displaying that. Just continue from that. All right, and now, yes, guess I'm curious. Here are the slots. Here are the connections. So that's that slot there. Okay, wait a minute. So this should be that connection at the bottom. So 2 down from that should be this connection here. Okay, so what I was doing was putting that there. Okay. Apparently I'm not actually setting the parent of these slots like I used to be. And that could actually be the basis for all of this, because I might have just been assuming that I was removing the connection and its slots, and all of its slots. That could be it. All right, but let me have a look here. We've got those slots there. I will now regenerate and continue. Yeah, okay, there's a whole set of slots there. So that's the issue, is that slots are hanging around. Let's get rid of that because it's not actually related to that. It's related to clearing them. But I might just see about this. There was this thing here where I was putting the slots back where they go. But I'm not actually setting the parents. So we've got these oldest generation slots here. We line them up along the top. So maybe here I just that slot dot transform dot parent equals output connection. Is that a connection object? Yeah, dot transform. So let's just set parent dot row of slots. And connection for convenience. Actually, I shouldn't even need the moving of those. I think I won't need to move it. Let's see what happens. How am I looking for time here? Okay. Up to about 90 minutes, are we? No. Oh, yeah, of course. That makes sense. About 70 minutes. Does that make sense? I must have started later than I thought. Yeah, probably about 10 minutes later than planned. we have this tree. Now we don't have any slots there. We regenerate. Still no slots there. And that's probably fixed the bug then. Generate three. Let's do 2 generations just for fun. No, let's do 3 because that reproduced it. Just in case there's something weird I wasn't thinking of. 2 generations. Let's have a play of this. Tricky. I got it. I'm a genius. Okay. Yeah. So I think that fixed it. And let's say generate tree false and hit that button. We should have nothing there. Nothing in any of these. Perfect. Okay, I'm going to get rid of that generate tree though. And yeah, there was no issue with the position of these, so we don't need that. And it was in Game Manager that I had this. Get rid of that. And I think I'll call that fixed. Just casually deleting unnecessary using statements there. Make sure that's all saved. Make sure this is all saved. If that's going to spend time compiling, let me just move that there. I think this is fixed by removing those slots actually. So I'm just going to maybe indent this whole thing here. And say that's probably been fixed by this. There. There's a note about which stream it's fixed in, so I can do that if I want. Okay. So that's nice. Fixed that bug. Let me check that in now. I forget if I saved those, so let's just do it again. And yeah, it's just changing the generations. I think I might want the default to be 4 because right now, without the level progression system, which is coming up, but until that point, I think a tree with 3 is probably just a little bit too small, not challenging enough, since we don't have a lot of variation in the game. Okay, yeah, that just puts them in the right place, which is the fix. And we just clean up a few things. So, yeah, prevent old slots staying insane. There we go. There we go. Because this is just indie development. No, not because it's indie development. It's because it's a one-person project. There's only one of me, and that's why I can get away with just having like a single thing up here, just a single to-do list. It's only a small project as well, which is another reason I can get away with having this instead of a proper bug tracking system. So at the moment I was like working with one other person or more on this. I think I would need to get something a bit better than this going. Anyway, let me stop ranting about stuff that's not too relevant and get straight into this. So I want to put my settings into scriptable objects. So yeah, if you're not familiar with scriptable objects, why don't we have a look? Scriptable object here. So essentially this is you're defining a class that you can make instances of that can live in your assets, and you can make changes in those, and those changes will be in here. It's a bit like having a game object here, but it lives not in the hierarchy, but in your assets. And one difference in behavior is that the scriptable object doesn't get reset when you go out of play mode, which can be handy if you want something where you can tweak some settings and keep those tweaks. That's a bit annoying when you kind of fiddle with something, get it just right, and then go, okay, and now I'll just stop playing, and now you've lost those tweaks, and you better hope that you copied the values or remember what they were. There are other benefits to using scriptable objects, other reasons to use them, but that's the bottom line, and that's the main reason that I'm doing it right now. So yeah, derived from base Unity objects, so they're like mono behaviors on game objects. So yeah, it probably wasn't accurate to say they're like game objects, but they're like mono behaviors which attach to game objects, but they don't attach to game objects directly. This is the thing I'm talking about. When you use the editor, you can save data to scriptable objects while editing at runtime, because scriptable objects use the saved data from the scriptable object assets that you set up during development. Wait, I think I skipped something. I did. Okay, there. When you use the editor, you can save data to scriptable objects while editing and at runtime, because scriptable objects use the editor namespace and editor scripting. In a deployed build, however, you can't use scriptable objects to save data, but you can use the saved data from the scriptable object assets that you set up during development. So scriptable objects, the whole point of them is to do stuff while you're editing. And if I were to write an extension that let me, for example, if I was making version 2 of Family Tree, where I'm going to be setting up a whole bunch of specific people, custom building each level instead of randomizing a set of traits, I would probably want to make some kind of tooling where I can quickly build those people without having to do all of the repeated steps over and over again. And that's where scriptable objects could be useful, because then I could save to those, and then that would be what the game reads from at runtime. So yeah, this is recommending a create asset menu annotation here so that you can make a scriptable object, and yeah, basically just inheriting from scriptable object there, and it's just acting like a struct, basically, holding some values. So yeah, that's basically what we want to do. So I should decide what settings I'm putting in. And I guess probably these in here are a very good place to start. So just grab my scripts here, and I'll organize this a bit later. So I'll just make a script right now, and I'll just call that game settings. I've got to distinguish this from like the player's settings for the game. Right now, I'll just call it game settings, and I will rename it later if I need to have it fit well. Right, and I think I probably want to stop in about 20 minutes. So let's see if I can get this done within that time. Shouldn't take that long, I think. Let me get that out of the way. Let me open this. And it's not a mono behavior. We want a scriptable object. Like that. We don't want any of that stuff. And just open that back up again so I could grab this as a basis. And put that right there. Okay, so create asset menu, file name equals data. Sure, let's do that. And why don't I just grab my game manager here? Why don't I just put that there? And then I can have a look what I've got. Ah, yeah, the level progression is going to determine this stuff. Anyway, that doesn't matter. I'm going to copy all this straight over to here. And then I'll put that back here somewhere so that I don't have that taking up the width. And these are not going to be serialized fields anymore. They're just going to be public things. Public fields of this class instance. There. I don't think that level complete effect is one that I want to move, because that's just a reference to a particle system. Okay, but we've got some numbers here. Oh, the goal people count, the generations, and this delay. So that's the first item, or first set of items. And now I think we're going to want in the game manager, we'll probably want to replace those. I don't want to mess with my values that I've got so far because that could be different. But I'll just add game settings here. This is just going from memory, but I think I should just be able to add that game settings. We've got a mono behavior here. Here, we've got that scriptable object right there. That's an instance of that. Yeah, and that's been made public so that it can be dropped onto, but I tend to use serialized field instead of public. What that does is it means that these are exposed to set here in the inspector, but they're not exposed for the purpose of accessing from other scripts. So it still kind of keeps them a bit more encapsulated. They're allowed to be configured, but they can't be fiddled with by other scripts. So how am I going for time? 10 to 15 minutes. It should be fine. This won't take that long. So There we go, game settings there. So what I need here is I should move everything into this project directory. This helps to keep my code separate from any packages that might drop stuff into the assets directory. If for some reason, something weird happens where I've got another monitor, I've got the monitor here that has the stream on it, and the one here that I'm doing development on. But if I right click here, I get this menu. If I right click there, it appears over on the other monitor. Very disconcerting. Still haven't got used to it. So I can do create. Looks like a scriptable objects game settings. So now I've got my game settings, and I'll just call that default game settings, I think. I could put a different set of settings for when I'm doing something else and set those in there. So I'll set that in there. And now I'm seeing here I've got 1, 4, and 1 as my values. So let me just go here, set that 1, 4, and 1. There we go. And now I should be fine to delete these by commenting them out. And now I'm going to have some errors, right? Just down here, I've got some errors. So goal people count. Instead of that, wait, what's that game settings called? Yeah, game settings is what it's called. Game settings.goal people count. I'll grab that dot as well, because then I can just do this and they should all work. So that should now be pulling those out of the game settings. And go. And a little quick test I can do to make sure that's working properly is I can generate my level here. Then I can change this to 3 and regenerate, and it's on 3. And now if I stop playing, it is still on 3. So when I run it again, it still has that value that I had before. So it's still generating 3. So that's good. I can, especially something like this where it's the delay of a dialogue. If I set that to 2 and generate, just see if the delay until the dialogue shows is good. If I wanted it longer, I could change that there, confirm it works, and then it's going to keep that setting. And I can also make a different game settings. I can make a debug game settings or something that I can use and really fiddle around with without wrecking my main game settings. Or I can back these up as well. But that's one advantage, and that's complete. I'll just do that. There. Check that in. The other thing is that I've got settings that are a bit spread out right now. Some of them are in Game Manager and some of them are in Family Tree Manager, which is right here. So, as well as having the prefabs that it needs to instantiate these things, and references to the containers that it needs. It's also got all these positioning things here and some, different distances and stuff like that. And those are all things that I could pull into my settings. I'm not sure if I want to here because they're a bit specific to that. So do I want to make a different type of scriptable object? Those are all related to tree positioning. So let's make a new type of scriptable object. I might make a directory in here for scriptable objects, actually. That's not what I want. Game settings here. And there. Taking a time. I moved something, so how could I create a new file? Oh, okay. Come on, computer. You should let me just human all the time, and you can compute it as resources are available. This is the wrong way around. My time is the most limited resource here. Speaking of which, yes. 5 to 10 minutes maximum. This is tree positioning. Yeah, so my tree position settings. There we go. So again, not a mono behavior, but a scriptable object. I could probably make a menu item here that'll make a new script for a scriptable object, but probably not a big enough payoff in the short term to be worth doing it right now. Okay, so this is going to want some of the stuff from Family Tree Manager here. Yes. We don't want any of that stuff. We want these things. The offsets, the dimensions, the positions. And I think that's what we want. So I'm just going to copy that. And I'll comment those out in a minute. Actually, no, I'll comment them out now while I've got them selected. And we go to game settings. Oh, yeah. Let me open game settings. Again, I moved it, and Visual Studio didn't know what was going on. If that doesn't break something. Or did I just copy the whole thing? What am I doing? Yep. All I want is this. All right, so that's called tree position settings. And all of those. Do we have replace? There. I think we're fine to replace all there. Oh, thank you for telling me. All right, so we've got a vector 2. 3 vector 2s, and all that. Got defaults for some of these, not for others. And I just realized I should not have those commented out. No, I hope that hasn't just wiped out my values I had for those. At least I have them all checked in version control, so I would have a way to recover those. In somewhere. Right, so Family Tree Manager here. Looks like it still has those things, so that's good. Haven't lost them. So just jump in here, and I'm just going to create a scriptable object. This doesn't have to be under scriptable objects in here. You can put these wherever you like. But let's grab a tree position settings, and I'll just leave it with that name. Yes, let me just pin that and grab another inspector window, can I? Inspector. Can I get a new one, please? No, you can get 2 inspector windows. But I don't remember how. General inspector. How do you do that? Unity. Multiple inspectors, please. I know you can do it. I just don't remember what. Add tab inspector. 3-dot top right corner of the inspector. Add tab inspector. Okay, so now we have 2 inspectors. We can lock that one on that. Pop this one down here. And that one's not locked, so now if I select that, now I have both visible. Good. Well, I wonder if I can paste those values in. That would be very nice if I could. No, it doesn't recognize it as being the same. No problem. I could type some numbers. And if I get any of these wrong, weird stuff will happen. No pressure. Okay. Those numbers are all saved. Oh, why do I have this smaller than it could be? So it's good. Now actually close that tab. Unlock this. And now I'm ready to comment these out and instead just have my little tree position settings. And I'll just call that settings because of the context, but I may rename that later. Okay, and then I just want settings dot in front of each of these things. Where there's an error. Down there. Starting to suggest them for me. So, I don't know what is behind that, if it's just a really simplistic thing or some kind of... Oh, didn't suggest that one. There we go. And one more place. There. There was something about that other place it just didn't like. Maybe it's too different. Okay, so that should all work. We should be able to generate a tree from that. And then I should finish up my stream. I just edited one of my other streams last night to add some chapters in. And I think about an hour before the stream ended, more than an hour, I said, okay, I better finish this up soon. And then again, like an hour before the end. So definitely need to get better at finishing streams when I mean to. Whoa, something's broken. I seem to have generated a tree in which everybody is in one position. That doesn't seem quite right. It also has paused, so something's broken there. That's probably the first thing to check. $391 here. Oh, yeah. Okay. So what happens when you make a settings object and you set all its values right, but you don't actually say, I want to use that settings object. I missed. There. That should work a lot better. And I could have done that at runtime as well. That's another really good thing. You can just swap these out at runtime, like while the game is playing. If I had another version of this, then I should be able to. Okay, that's generating a tree. I might demonstrate that, why don't I? Just quickly. So we'll create another one, another game settings, and this is just alternative. I think I'll just put an underscore alternative on the end, because that will work much better for these staying next to each other if I name them all that way. So wait a minute. So I've got my default game settings. It's 121, and this can be 231. Don't know if that'll actually work with multiple gold people anymore. I set to 4. That's my alternative one. So now I'll go to my game manager, drop my settings in there. Boom, regenerate. And now I've got that. But if I put those default settings, actually I'll rename those while I'm here. Just cut that off there and pop it on the end, just like that. There. So, game manager, those game settings, regenerate, and we're back to that. So that's much nicer to work with. And I can go to these default settings and set that back to 4 in the default one, because that's the level of puzzle that I want at the moment. and those tree position settings seem to be working. I could make an alternative here that messes things up. Yeah, this is where they could go. Yeah, I could change this to spread things out a bit more. That kind of thing. Okay. Well, I'm going to stop that there. Just check that I've not got this too messy. Seems okay there. And I have a feeling I've got a bunch of commented out stuff up here that I can, yeah, just delete those entirely. There. Yep. All right, let's save all things, check that in, and then we'll wrap up for the day and get on with day jobs instead. Okay, so this is, we've renamed default game settings. So do that, and got the alternative one I made, and it's meta. Yeah, there's the renamed version. Game settings, a scriptable object, and using that in game settings. And the meta file for that. What's in main game scene? It's that bit, so I can include that. Okay, so tree position settings, family tree manager. Yes, we created that directory. Tree position settings. Yep. Okay, so move game settings, scriptable object. There we go. And the rest of it is move tree. There we go. Those are all moved and positioned. Again, I didn't update this current task here to say what I'm doing. Definitely need to automate that. Okay, so that's done. I can check that off. And next, I'm going to be getting onto the level progression system. So that's a successful stream. I'm actually finishing about on time for once. And I got through the things that I had on there exactly. It's just luck, though. I mean, who can tell how long things will take? It's not worth the time it would take to estimate exactly how long things take, unless you've got some kind of bigger machinations of a big corporation or something that need estimates. It's a bit of a waste of time. You can, lose a lot of time on trying to figure out how long something will take instead of just getting things done. So, speaking of getting things done, I'm going to just get this stream finished up, ended, because it is time for me to get some other things done. So have a lovely day or a lovely sleep if you're over the other side of the world and need to go to bed. And happy coding, happy gaming, happy life, happy wife. I don't know.